Assalamualaikum, ohayo gozaimasu. Kalau kita ngomongin work ethic atau etika kerja orang Jepang, pasti kita semua tahu ya. Bagaimana kalau orang Jepang itu kalau kerja seriusnya, fokusnya dia, kemudian juga bagaimana dia disiplin ya. Dan yang paling utama adalah ingin mencapai kesempurnaan dalam bekerja. Nah, work ethic atau etika kerja orang Jepang ini bukan hanya diakui oleh orang Asia, tapi juga oleh orang Barat yang notabene adalah negara-negara maju. Nah, hasil dari work ethic ini atau etika kerja orang Jepang ini adalah menjadi negara dengan ekonomi terbesar ketiga di dunia. Dan juga kalau teman-teman pernah ke Jepang bisa lihat Tokyo dan Osaka ya, di mana Tokyo menjadi kota terbesar di dunia yang mampu menampung 38 juta penduduk. Hasil dari etika kerja orang Jepang ini bukan hanya membuahkan hasil positif, juga mempunyai efek negatif. Nah, apa saja efek negatifnya? Dan katanya efek negatifnya ini hanya bisa dirasakan oleh orang Jepang itu sendiri. Apa saja itu dan benarkah? Kita langsung tonton videonya. Langsung dari Jepang.
Maybe 2 years back, we had a huge typhoon in September, and I actually didn't go to work. I just skipped it because when I check the JR's official website on the internet, all trains were not running, like Tokaido line or Yokosuka line, or everything didn't work. And also, I didn't like my job, so it gave me a perfect reason to skip my job. So I stayed in my home watching movies. So those crazy Japanese people. I mean, this is exactly what I hate about Japan. Why do you want to go to work, even in that kind of situation? And some people even try to use Shinkansen to go to work. It's crazily stupid.
On that day, do you ever go outside and just see the station? What kind of situation there?
Actually, I indirectly saw it through the YouTube.
I see.
And also on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I search on Twitter, there are a bunch of people who upload their surroundings. They photograph their surroundings and upload it on Twitter so I can watch it. So, that was already crazy. So, I don't want to be one of them. So I just skipped my job. Because of the social pressure. I mean, in most cases, I don't know. This is just my impression, but a relationship between boss and his staffs are not so good. Mostly. I mean, this is universal, right? It's not only in Japan, but in other countries as well, maybe. But in Japan, that kind of relationship, we say 上下関係, kind of a vertical relationship, So, this vertical relationship, it's somewhat really strong in Japanese workplaces. So employees, I mean, always feel some kind of pressure from their bosses or from their manager or supervisor. So we somehow feel this kind of, pressure. So we somewhat need to go to work.
And this kind of pressure is can I say it in the negative way? rather
Yeah,
than
it's really
positive.
negative.
Really
It's
negative.
really
I
negative. Yeah.
see. I see.
Y- You know,
Mm,
like but maybe you know, like how many people take their lives during a year.
mm,
You know,
mm,
it's like maybe 100 people per day in Japan. Like,
yes,
so
yes.
it's a crazy number, and there are a bunch of people who are suffering from those vertical relationships,
Mm,
or maybe I told you about power harassment, like kind
yes.
of a work bully. So they are kind of afraid of their bosses and company.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
somehow this pressure drives them crazy, and
mm,
even those difficult days, they feel a need to go to work, even
mm,
though they don't have to.
I see. I see. And this this work pressure, like just as you said that every not only in Japan but in other country, but maybe in other country some employees have like feeling about rebel or maybe just say enough is enough,
Mm,
like just say in the face, I'm sorry boss, I quit.
yeah, people say that. Yeah, that's
It,
normal. That's
that's
normal.
more because you have to like cut your pressure in the some point. You have to
Yeah,
like enough is enough. I don't
yeah,
get, I can't take anymore.
exactly, exactly. But
Why in
Japan
Japan is
is
not like that? I'm sorry.
well, yeah, because Japan is kind of, abnormal. This is abnormal country, like, in a bad way. Like,
The
it's
bad-
a very strange country.
Mm,
So your questions explains everything. There are so many things foreigners can't understand about us, like
mm,
this kind of pressure from our boss that
mm,
drives us crazy. So
mm,
even during the typhoon days, people
mm,
were rushed to the stations to go to work.
mm,
So
mm,
why we are so crazy? Why we are so like strange when I
yes.
compare it with the global standard
Mm,
is I don't know. This is how it is. This is how it works in this country.
mhm.
Like, yeah, this is something accumulated during those years and years of history.
The logic behind it, like what brings Japan until to this point? I mean, is it because the education, what you bring, what you taught from little, from child, that you have to follow some, you have to follow uh, that rule, I don't know, ruru mamoru, ruru
Mm,
mamoteru, and about shameless, you cannot bring shame to your family when you are like quitting your job, or maybe this is already taught from child. Is it like that?
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I actually feel exactly the same. Like, that's how education respond to the industry. Like, from the early age in the school, kids,
Mm,
even including myself, like
mm.
kids are required to just show up in the classroom
I
and
see.
just be silently listen to your teacher's instructions
Mm-hmm.
and just do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
So from the early age in the kids, we are forced to prepare for our adult lives. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same everywhere in the world.
Yes, agree.
But in Japan, this kind of rule is kind of strict. Like for example, we have to bow to
Mm-hmm.
your teacher,
Mm-hmm.
so, and always like um, when the class beginning, we have to um, echo what teachers say. Like when teachers say "Ohayo gozaimasu," the students have to respond to the teacher, say "Ohayo gozaimasu," all together, just robot, and it's so we are just required to be responsive robots, something like that.
I see.
I mean, when I think about my days in my school, it wasn't that bad. Like we were also required to enunciate our opinions, and also we were also required to practice some debate, because this is a democratic country. So debate is quite important. So express your opinions. That was important. But on the other hand, this kind of strict traditions still remain, and especially when you go to school that values right-wingers ideas. Especially schools like in Kyoto, like it's horrible. Probably if I were in the school, I would kill myself. Because you have to, like, even when you walk, you have to be aware of your posture. You have to walk in a certain way. Like you have to be aware of how you walk, and how you respond to your teacher, how you say your words.
I see.
So there are so many social rules they demand us.
I see. There is a positive result, and there is also a negative result. The positive result is, yes, I think the positive result is your country become the third or maybe the second largest economic in the world. But but the negative is the suicide rate is so high.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to know why the rebel attitude about the rebel attitude Japanese is not there, not happen. I mean, humanly, that human is fight when they are oppressed, right? Like if someone bullying you, if someone says bad to you, if someone like attacking you, for me it's humanly to fight back. But Japanese is not fight back. Japanese mostly kill themselves. You know what I mean? That's why fighting is not happen a lot in Japan, but suicide rate is happen a lot.
Again, that's I mean, you always make a good point, and this is a great point. Like okay, look back our history, like so. For example, Meiji era, right?
Meiji era, yes.
So before the Meiji era, it was called the Edo era. Like it continued for 200 years. 200 years we were ruled by samurais.
I see.
Have you ever heard about Tokugawa family?
Yes.
Yes. So Tokugawa family ruled Japan all across Japan. And during those 200 years, no one challenged Tokugawa family.
I see.
And they just obeyed their rules, obeyed to them. They just followed the rules, and just they remain silent. And actually, there are some kind of exceptions happened. Like, for example, some people in Kyushu were Christians, and there was a strict rule against Christianity during Edo era. So some Christians were killed. So there was some kind of rebels against the government in Kyushu, but except that there were almost no oppositions or no revolutions against the Tokugawa government. And like Americans came to Japan to open our port to the rest of the world. So things started to change. So Tokugawa family was destroyed. But if Americans didn't come to Japan, probably we were still like wearing some stupid chonmage and doing some stupid things still, probably.
I see.
When I look at ourselves in nowadays, when I watch TV, governments always blamed younger generations for bad things. So, for example, nowadays coronavirus is spreading all across Japan, and the 20s and 30s, including myself, are the generations that are most infected by the virus. And governments say, since younger people are not careful about the virus, the virus is spreading all across Japan. So we have to remind younger people that your stupid actions kills your parents or older generations. We have to, they always say that. And younger people, including myself, never say anything against the government. All we do is just going to Facebook or Twitter and just tweet our, I don't know,
Feelings.
our feelings. But we never do any political activities or anything. We just say complaints, but never do anything. This is how we do, and I'm so angry with ourselves. Why are we so comfortable with this slavery mind? Why don't you fight back against the government? We say, like, this coronavirus pandemic, it's partially caused by younger people. They never blame older generations for their behaviors. They always blame younger people for our behaviors somehow. And partially it is because younger people already gave up about this country, or maybe gave up about their lives. Because Japanese economy is now in a decline, and our economy is not booming, so they somewhat not interested in politics anymore. So probably voting rate among younger people in this country is probably 30%.
Wow.
Probably less than 40%, I guess. So, so since we don't vote, politicians' eyes always looking at older people who vote. So they don't worry about younger people, but younger generations and the future of this country. You should be more aware of our situations. But since younger people don't voice our feelings by voting, governments always give priority to the older generations. So, from April or May, or maybe June, the vaccination will start.
Mm-hmm.
And people whose age is above 65 are the ones who first get vaccinated.
No.
And
Above 65?
yeah, and we younger generations are the last ones who get vaccinated.
And this above 65 is around 30%, I presume.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by 30%? Like,
The population above
yeah. Population, probably
65.
30% of our population. Yeah. So, it's actually opposite from South Korea. Like in South Korea, younger generations are the first ones to get vaccinated.
I see.
Few people who are changing this country, but mostly people are comfortable with our lives somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, probably when you go to convenience store like 7-Eleven or Lawson or Family Mart, you can get food all the time. When you go to supermarket, you can get food. And when you're in your home, you have phones, you have PC, so you can enjoy some entertainment by watching YouTube or social media like on Twitter. So
Yeah.
we are already somewhat comfortable with our lives. So most of those younger generations don't feel any need to voice their feelings to change their country, change our country, because we are already comfortable with it. So my answer is that there aren't many people who are trying to change this country.
I see.
So, okay, actually, I appreciate for you to give me an opportunity to talk about how I feel about this country and how this country is organizing itself.
I see. I'm sorry, just a little more talking about this, because for me it's like free yourself from depression, from oppression is the key to solve Japanese problem about suicide. So the suicide problem is because the culture problem. If we can change the culture problem, the suicide problem is automatically getting shallow, getting smaller. But whatever you do, for me, I think whatever Japanese do to prevent suicide, you give enough money, you give everything, but the depression, the work bullying, the power harassment in the office, and the culture that you don't want to fight what you don't want to fight someone who oppress you. This is still problem, I think.
Exactly.
It is not solving the problem for me.
According to some people, the reason why they take their own lives is that they became too emotional. So they can't think logically, so they take their own lives. So, to answer your question, how we feel is built upon those, I don't know, upon our social structure.
Yes.
So, if we can't change how we organize our society itself, people keep jumping from the building.